Okay, so I read 100% of this book within an hour and a half. So anyway, so I wanted to talk about this book, and I actually really liked it. I may have been trying to get through it so I can get out of here, but I actually really liked how it kind of brought out every single step, and I was able to highlight through the book and just find specific things that I really liked about each part. So I'm going to just go through each chapter and talk about what I liked. So forward. I have a couple things highlighted, and the first thing I have highlighted is Matthew 9, verse 35 to 38. It says, "The harvest is great, but the workers are few. So pray to the Lord who is in charge of the harvest. Ask him to send more workers into his field." And I also have highlighted, when we recognize the spiritual need, it is simply overwhelming. We were left with the feeling, God, where do we even begin? So I think this chapter was really good just to give me a perspective of what things are happening. And I know what things are happening around me, but sometimes just to get a real perspective on what that people are in seems about God, where do I start? Where do I go after what I know? And so for me, it was good to see this part in it, but also the part that I noticed that there's a theme through the whole book, and it was that the harvest is great, that God is going to do something so amazing, and there's going to be so many people that are going to come to God, and you just have to let him do his work. And so I also had last part, I'm going to read it. I would ask you to begin this journey by doing something very simple yet dangerous. Ask God to open your eyes to see the life of Jesus in a brand new way, and to reimagine what following him even looks like. Ask him to let you let you be overwhelmed like our prayer group was, as we saw countless millions of people from the top of the CN Tower. Then ask yourself, Father, whatever you need to do in me to live out my calling and to reach and influence my generation, please do it. And I think this is huge for me, because as I go out, as I do whatever God's called me to do, and that's a very unknown fact right now, that God's going to direct me and he's going to lead me to this place that I need to go. And it was really cool. And so I don't think I am going to go through all the chapters, but I think there's different things that you need to do. And the one chapter that got me is called The Spirit of Adoption, The End of Orphans. I really liked this chapter, and the reason I really liked it is because it talks about bringing people in, and people are new to the church, but let them in, let them have a space, let them feel comfortable where they're at. And so for me, this was a very cool thing to read and go through, and see that something that God has put on my heart is really to go to the lonely and the lost, and he's always put that on my heart. So this chapter really helped me to continue to know how to do that, to continue to go out to those people that don't have anyone and that are afraid to go into those groups, and just be a part of it. And I think it was really cool to get that perspective. Another chapter, I read all of them, but I just want to find one I really liked. Jesus the Follower. So when we think of leading, it says in the front. So when we think of leading, we think of being up front. And I think that spot was really cool for me, because I was able to understand that you don't need to be in the front, you don't need to be the center, you don't need to be a pastor, you don't need to be a professor, you don't need to be anything in order to be up and doing God's will. And I think it was really cool to read that and understand that I don't need to be a special person. I don't need to be someone who's huge in different things. That all I need is God, and God's going to bring me into the spots that I need to be in order to further his kingdom. And I think it was really cool just to see this spot, because we always, a lot of of us say that I'm not good enough to be able to do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. But for me, it was really cool to see that I am good enough, that God has called me to and put me in those spots where God's going to use me in such incredible ways. And that a lot of the times people think you need to sing, you need to play instruments in order to be effective for God's kingdom. But it said if you're not willing to grow, and get that one person, then why you a worship leader? Because you need to be willing to go out and just further His kingdom. And this book is really cool for me to see the different ideas and ways that I can go out and be a disciple for His kingdom. And something you always say is a disciple making disciple, and I want to be a disciple making disciple, and I want to go out and reach people for God's kingdom, but I also want to be a disciple myself, and I want people to do those things for me. So I think it's like a rotation, and I really like this book, and yeah, so peace out.